Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Bledsoe, and would Diane Richardson please come forward?
My name is Devon Bledsoe. I live at 706 Crestwood Drive in Blacksburg. And I'm here tonight as spokesperson for Environmental Patriots of the New River Valley to ask you to allocate money in this budget to employ an expert to review the pending DEQ permit for renewal of open burning hazardous waste at the Radford Arsenal. Our community has been given repeated assurances that toxins being released by the facility are not getting off the base. The ATSDR assessment of our potential exposure to toxins in the groundwater at the arsenal states that contaminants have not migrated, and without any actual testing to confirm that assumption, we don't know that that's actually the case. In fact, the report from the ATSDR says on page 108 that Reiner is located several miles south of the arsenal. Any public wells serving the community would not be affected by the arsenal for the same reason that we find private wells are not affected, which is to say that the contaminated water would have to flow against gravity and upstream in order to be found there. Yet, the results just put out on the municipal wells in Reiner show that perchlorate has indeed contaminated the two wells. 3 of the 4 tests came back positive. The detection undercuts the claim that groundwater contaminants have not and could not migrate in this fashion and in this direction. The endocrine disrupting chemicals in these wells ought to compel county officials to consult an expert, if only to minimize liability concerns. If a technical review suggests that further testing is not warranted, then we can all rest easier. But it would certainly be prudent to seek the outside counsel on this potentially very big problem. There's ample documentation from both the Army and the Environmental Protection Agency that perchlorate is a widespread contaminant at the arsenal. It's been found in both the surface and the groundwater at the arsenal in 100% of wells tested repeatedly. So please get some expert advice to ensure that our children aren't being unduly exposed to this very toxic compound in their drinking water. The incidence of thyroid disease here may be a canary in a coal mine. We also became aware this last week that there's another reason to contract an outside expert to look at our exposure here, and that is that the Army, or the Arsenal, may currently be producing depleted uranium munitions. Even though the Army's Joint Munitions Command PR official Justine Barati assured the community this last January that depleted uranium was not being used at the Radford Arsenal, the evidence seems to indicate otherwise, which brings up a lot of uncertainty and questions. In fact, the Montgomery County Planning Commission had on their agenda February 25th of 2010 an environmental project review for a proposed load impact operation for PGU-14, which is depleted uranium. This was just before a notice appeared in the Roanoke Times classifieds that stated that Alliant Tech Systems had applied to the Department of Health for a permit to work with depleted uranium. We have confirmation from an EPA employee who prefers to remain nameless at this time, but we have confirmation that the permit to work with depleted uranium was granted by the Virginia Department of Health. The question then becomes, is there a load and pack operation for depleted uranium at the Radford Arsenal now? We understand that these projectiles, these bullets, are being made by New River Energetics. They're a tenant at the facility, but the contamination they release gets all of our kids. So our question then is, if they are still today producing depleted uranium munitions at the Radford Arsenal, then certainly that would warrant some further study from an outside expert, since we've maybe been misled on that. If they are indeed manufacturing depleted uranium bullets at the Radford Arsenal, we need to know what, if any, acceptance testing they do. That means that ordinarily these weapons, these bullets, are tested before they're shipped out. If they're tested, then there's the potential for contamination to be at the facility. The EPA has identified depleted uranium at the arsenal as long ago as 2006. Likewise, if they are producing depleted uranium bullets at the Radford Arsenal, we need to know how they're disposing of the waste. Since we know that they open burn waste, and we have no idea what's in that waste since there's no monitoring going on, it would behoove those of you who represent those of us who live with the decisions being made over there at the Arsenal to find that out, to get those facts and do whatever you need to do to protect human health and the environment. So it seems...
You may finish your sentence if you would
I
like.
was going to say, it seems that employing an outside arsenal like they've done at the Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey and arsenals all over the United States of America, where outside experts are employed, is a good idea.
Thank you.